Hi everyone. Uh, welcome. Welcome to the first webinar for our comprehensive uh, education and training for water recycling industry. We will wait for a few minutes, 3 more minutes, and at one we'll get started. Mm. So while you are here, type your name in the chat so that I will know like who is participating and where they are from. Feel free to make any small comments that you like, such as your weather or where are you from, what county, things like that. And at one, we'll get started. Hi, Katie.
Hey, Shatal. It's good to see you.
Good to see you. So we are waiting for 2 more minutes, and
Yep. And you'll let everybody in all at the same time. Perfect.
so one attendee has his hand raised. I will allow you to talk so you can tell.
Chat is disabled.
Sorry?
Chat is disabled.
It's at disabled. Okay, let me try to enable it. Okay.
My chat is working and my Q&A is working, but that might be because of...
Yeah, you are listed as panelist.
Right.
Everyone. So now I think everyone can chat, put in there. Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you.
Awesome. We got that fixed.
Do you want me to keep attendance?
I think I can download all these lists from
Perfect.
the webinar first.
Okay. I will mute myself then.
Mm-hmm.
Let me know if you need anything.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, it's 12:59. And just so you know, we will be recording this webinar so that the people who couldn't participate in this live webinar will have option to view it later. However, this is the first webinar, so I will just be talking about the introduction, how the program will be moving forward, and things like that, and I'll answer your questions. But in the upcoming webinars, we will have speakers from around the US who are working on water recycling in nursery. There are very few people in the particular area of irrigation water recycling. So please try to join online if you can, so that you will have option to meet them, see them, ask live questions and things like that. If you can't, we do have the option to watch the recording in the later time. So it's one now, and we have around 50 participants already. So I will go ahead and get started. Let me share my screen. So
That looks good, Shatal. It looks great.
awesome. Thank you, Kerry, for that. So again, welcome everyone, and welcome to the comprehensive training on recycling irrigation return flow. Irrigation runoff is also known as irrigation return flow, and this is a new related term by United States government. So I will be using this word interchangeably, and I will be using more of like irrigation return flow than just the runoff. This is our first webinar, and here we will talk about our program, how we will go moving forward, and I will also answer any questions that you might have. Uh, Kelly has questions. I will unmute her and she asked to unmute. Oh, I think she forgot to put her hand down, so that's
Yes, I forgot. My bad. I already asked.
no problem. So yeah, if you have any questions, you can just raise your hand or write in the chat, and I will write in the Q&A, and I will look on that one. Okay. And first of all, I would like to apologize a little bit. I would like to apologize because we are planning to send the emails back, like send you reply by December, late November, December. But then there was this holiday season, and we didn't had participants registered, and so we extended it. And it was a few weeks ago when we got enough participants. So then we replied after we got that quota fulfilled. Again, to talk a little bit about this program is a partnership between Utah State University Extension and Western Sari. So Western Sari is a sustainable agriculture uh, research and education program that supports a program like this, where they try to build more sustainability into our agriculture production systems. So with that, why did we think about this program? Why was this program started here? It was because we already know Utah has been in a long change of drought. Some would say a mega drought, but we are seeing increasing drought intensity. This year was really good. This year has been good till now, but still, like we our reservoirs are only 41% full as of now in January, although we have so much snow and precipitation in this year. So uh, thinking about a scenario where we have enough water and we could use as much as we need is only like virtual. That's not possible. We are going to face drought. We are going to face water restriction in upcoming years. So with the water restrictions, one way to increase our freshwater supply and to rely less on freshwater is by recycling nursery runoff water or runoff water in production systems. This has been done, or this is ongoing in eastern parts of US. So when I was in Michigan, we did a lot of water recycling research, and my background is on the same area. I was working in water recycling in container production for 7 years from a master's and my PhD. And we did have a big program over that side. But when I came to Utah, I saw like water recycling in nursery and landscape production is very limited. And I was wondering like why is that? And then I got in touch with Western Sari, and we thought of like, okay, let's build this program here. So when the landscaper or a grower or any other concerned leaders working in water conservancy districts or master gardeners or Utah extension faculties, anyone who is on that position working on water resource has this information and knowledge they can use and rely on when it's needed. So we are trying to get a little advance on our drought situation on water recycling side of things, although it's very much feasible and doable and required here in Utah. So why we are talking about nursery or landscape production, and why we are talking about water recycling in this area? Because it's horticulture specialty crops has is has a big economy, more than 13.7 billion per year. Container plants sold in US are more than $2 billion. And as we all know, specialty crops are these nursery crops or landscape plants. When we grow them, they are high value crops. So we meaning growers or anyone who is growing those tend to apply a lot of nutrient and pesticides, because ornamental plants are purchased for their beauty and then for their greenness. And if we see any disease or anything as such, people might not buy it. So that's why, because it's a high value crop, we sell it for a lot of money. Growers sell it for a lot of money. They don't care much about how much nutrient and pesticide to apply, or being limited on those. Recently, I must agree that nutrient prices has risen up pretty steeply, but still, growers tend to apply a lot of nutrient and pesticide. The growers also apply high water, which high water, often nursery crops where they are produced are over irrigated, and there is substantial runoff. Like the containers are spaced apart, and there are a lot of research telling us how much water is being run off from a container production, and it's somewhere from 50 to 80 in the eastern part of US, maybe around 50% here in Utah. We don't have the data yet for Utah, but I assume it's more than 50%. And as we know, those container plants has fertilizer, it has pesticide, a lot of agrochemicals. And with the runoff, if we let it go, one, we are applying more water than we need, so we are increasing our water use. Second, we are doing something. So we are a part of something called non-point source pollution. In that production strategy, if we irrigate more than the plant needs, and if that water is running off, or it's flown off from our premises to and goes to nearby watershed or aquifer or river, then it's causing non-point source pollution. Non-point source pollution is the kind of pollution whose source cannot be tracked. So it just comes as runoff from a lot of different production sites, and it increases nutrient concentration in our rivers and lakes and streams and reservoirs, and that causes algal blooms. So as you can see in this picture here, this is the picture of Lake Utah. And this one is Louisiana coastline, so it's in Louisiana. All these green color are dead zones, because we have so much of nutrient and so much of algal blooms. The oxygen in those areas is depleted, the fish die. Algal bloom may also cause water toxicity, like Toledo water crisis in 2014, if you all know it. So there are environmental consequences. It pollutes drinking water sources, it impairs aquatic lives, it's bad for the environment, and also this is all caused because we are not containing the water, so we are using a lot of water. So how can we solve this? So exactly by this kind of program, training and demonstration on water recycling, we could solve this. So this is the overview of the program, where this is nursery production, landscape production, or greenhouse production. What they do is they use high amount of fresh water, and this red dots is a lot of fertilizers. And what happens is, with this, if water runs off, it goes below the leaching zone, and it can pollute groundwater, which is a serious problem, or it can run off and cause environmental risk. So rather than letting it go off our premises, why not build a retention pond? And with the retention pond, we can have remediation systems. Now, this retention pond and remediation system can vary on their degree of complexity. The retention pond can be as simple as just by making a hole in the ground and applying the tarp or a rubber tarp so the water can't leach down, and collecting it and just using it back to our plants, letting it sit there for a few weeks, obviously, before using it. Or we could use the remediation system. Remediation system can be as simple as a container filled with wood chips. So that's a kind of remediation system, and there are research that has shown how much of nutrient or pesticide or other kind of contaminants can those remediation system remove from the water. So we can combine retention pond with remediation system and use it back on the plants, or we could even use it without remediation. And so this training here, what we aim to do is we are trying to bring subject matter expert. So someone who is working on remediation system in nursery production or landscape production for so many years and has the knowledge and expertise to talk about the remediation system, we will bring him on one of our webinar, and he or she will talk about what kind of remediation system are there, how we could install one, how much nutrient and pesticide can it remove, and what happens if we do not remediate, is it possible, things like that. We would bring someone who is well known around US about nursery irrigation return flow, capture and reuse, and has done that program for tens of years. And we'll bring them to talk about what they think, if it is feasible, if it's not. We'll bring other people who are expert in economics, like is this profitable for my operations? How we can calculate that? Uh, how long would it take to get my return investment back? So things like that. So all those webinars will be archived, and all these webinar we are trying to. So on this training we included people such as community leaders, extension personnel, Utah DNR people, USU staff, USDA, NRCS people, and a lot of other people who are in the chair or who is in that leading position, and who on whose knowledge and expertise a lot of people rely on. So we are trying to educate that. So it's more of like training the trainers kind of program. We are also enrolling master gardeners and big nursery growers around the state, because the big nursery growers, if they can change to this system, then the amount of benefit we can reap would be huge. So we are trying to enroll all the leaders in water conservation and nursery and landscape industry. And this is our vision for next 2 years. Of course, I know everyone is busy, and so we will. Everyone's busy. We do like to have people attend live when the webinars is live, but again we do understand that everyone is not available at the same time when one of our speaker is presenting. So we will record the webinar and we will upload it. It might take some time, and we will send the link to you. The other plan is, after each webinar, we will also prepare a fact sheet and online resources and send the link to you. All this is because we just want you to have an archive or have something in future if you need the information. That's the part of the program. That's a part of the program. So we'll have a lot of resources moving forward. And again, thank you for your participation. And with this vision, I just want to explain how this has been done. So how this will be done, or this is a sample of one of the water recycling system in nursery production. So this is a bed. It's like 100 feet by 50 feet wide, and this is a bed where it's managed as would be managed in a container nursery production system. They received fertilizer, they received nutrient, they received pesticides and whatnot. So all of this water is collected in this runoff collection pond 1, And what we did, this was a research done at Michigan State, and I was leading this. And what we did was we had a plant evaluation bed, and we also had a bioreactor. This bioreactor was made of wood chip and kerosene clay. It is easily, we can make it very easily. And so, throughout the program and in our in-person workshops, we will we will show you how this is being done, and we will show you how to build one. And so what we did is we collected water in this pond. We used some water without recycling in this plot, and we did remediate some water in this bioreactor and collect it in the pond too, and use some water from the pond. And we also used well water here, and we compared the plant growth. And this is what it looked like in the real field. So this was the one of the container production site. This was one of the pond. Here is other pond, and these are how the plant looked. So what we found, so this research went on for 3 years, and in 3 years of growing period, we did not see any visual damage or visual injury in plants. We did not see any growth effect in plants. So we used 10 different pesticides here. We included all the pesticides that a nursery growers would use. But the concentration was so low in this pond that they didn't affect the growth of the plant. Obviously, if you were growing crops that you would use for consumption, like human consumption, then we would refrain from doing this, or there might be other implications of this. But for a nursery and ornamental production, I think nobody's going to eat those plants, so we should be good on that side. And so that was what we did, and we know it is possible, and so we would like to build that knowledge and information here in Utah with all different webinar and demonstration. And therefore, the objectives of this program would be to determine barrier for adoption for retaining and recycling water in nursery and landscape industry. So obviously I showed you a picture for a container nursery production, but this would be same for a landscape. If there's a big landscape, why can't we collect the water and then reuse it back in the landscape? So the main theme of this for this webinar is to educate our people, educate our leader, as I already said, on importance of implementing water recycling system. We'll educate them, we will train them, we'll empower them so they have knowledge and expertise to disseminate the information when it's needed by the public. So I am not alone in this program. We are a team. Candice, as you already saw, is one of our members for this program. Kelly Cope, who is a professor at Utah State University, is also a member of our program. And also Josh Zimmerman, who is from Utah DNR, Department of Natural Resources, is also our team member. So our team member here, so this program will run for 2 years, but beyond that, you can always reach out to us and ask any question that you have on water recycling, and we would be happy to answer those. So these were about our program. So moving on forward, we will have 9 to 10 webinars. Those are online, and we will have 3 workshops. So one participant would be attending one workshop, but because we have participants from all around the state, what we are planning to do is we are planning to conduct 3 different workshops. So all the participants from the county, as you can see in this picture, above this line would be on the first workshop. So this would be the second workshop. So any participant from this county would participate in our second workshop. And these participants from this county would be participating in our third workshop. Being said that, if you cannot make it to first workshop date, and if you live somewhere close to Davis County, you could always join us for the second workshop. But it would be good if you could inform that to us. We haven't scheduled a time for the workshop because the workshop are in person, and I would like all the participants to participate. So after this webinar ends today, there is a small survey telling what your county is and what month would be the best time for your workshop, and would you prefer morning, evening, or afternoon? Of course, please choose two options, either say morning or afternoon, or evening or afternoon, or those two options, because we can't guarantee a particular time would work for all of our participants. So we would like to make it more approachable, make it more easy for most of our participants to attend this program. Uh, so that will come after the webinar. So that's all about what we are going to do, and our timeline. Sorry, I did not put our timeline, but we will end our program around the mid around August of 2024. So we start now around the August of 2024. We will end it. Of course, the webinar will end on sometime before the growing season next year. So you have that time if you want to work on your busy summer schedule. You don't have any webinars or workshops. So this year in summer, we'll have all our workshop, and we will complete all our webinar before growing season for next year, 2024 peaks. So again, with all these things, we are trying to be more accommodative to our participants so they can have maximum benefit out of this program. And with this, we do have some upcoming webinars that's already scheduled. What we are planning to do is we are planning to be consistent on webinars. So we are planning to conduct the live webinar every third Thursday of the month from 1:30 to 2:30 p.m. Of course, this is our first choice. And as I said, we are very limited expert on water recycling around the US. So sometimes we do tend to change the time and date a little bit, but we are trying to be consistent on our date and time. So I will send you a calendar invite after this meeting, and with tentative webinars dates. Please put that on your calendar, and please mark those out. But if you want to note this somewhere, if you prefer like hand note, if you want to note somewhere these, feel free to do it. So our first webinar, so today is our first webinar for the program. It's just the introduction about the program and what we will be doing, and just I showed how it can be done. Of course, this is just a glimpse of the program, and the next webinar would be on viability of water recycling system for nursery and landscape industry. So is it viable? So this would be third Thursday in February. This is third Thursday from 1 to 2:30 p.m. 1:30 to 2:30 p.m. So this I put this wrong. So it will be from 1 to 1:30 to 2:30 p.m. It's 1 hour webinar, and this one will be given by Dr. Sarah White. Now, if you all know Sarah White, that's great. If you do not know her, she is going to be she has led Clean Water R3. I'll put that in chat if you. Clean Water 3. So Clean Water 3 program. So this is a national program on water recycling. So, and this had more than 15 different universities, and it was like multi-million-dollar funded program. And she was the one leading. So and I was crossing my fingers when I sent her invite, thinking like, is she available? She's a very busy person, and she said like she agreed to present on this on the topic on February next on our next webinar. So if you search Clean Water R3 program, you will find a lot of information on water recycling, and she will talk more about the Clean Water 3 program and how like water recycling is feasible in our nursery and landscape industry. A lot of her expertise. She is a full professor and she has been working in this area for more than 20 years, I guess. And she is a professor at Clemson University. So she is a big name in water recycling world of horticulture, and so we are lucky to have her. The second webinar would be on cost and return on investment in construction of water recycling system in nursery and landscape. So this would be on March 14th. So this is not Thursday, I guess. Dr. Robin Broomfield and Dr. Raul Cabrera, they are from Reuters University in New Jersey, and again they have been working on water recycling for a long time, and they are faculties at the university. So it was very nice that they agreed. The third workshop would be in April, and it would be third Thursday. I did not put the date and time because I, I kept this blank because like I am pretty flexible. I would be presenting on that. But if we have someone that can't do September and can do April, I could switch my spot with that person's spot. So I didn't put it for now. But given everything remaining same in April, I'll be talking about agrochemicals, what agrochemicals will be in irrigation return flow, and what are the pesticides of concern, and how can we remediate that, and how can they affect the plant, and how can we find that out. So I will be talking about the agrochemicals in irrigation return flow. The one big thing about water recycling is pathogens. So the pathogens, they move with runoff water to the ponds. They come back and affect the plants, and and kill the new plant. So plant pathogen in irrigation return flow and how to minimize the risk. Dr. Paul Fisher, he's a full professor at the University of Florida, and he has been doing this kind of extension and water recycling works for again more than 20 years, 15, 20 years. So and he will be talking about the pathogens in irrigation return flow and how we can minimize that. Now, Dr. Damon Abdi, who is my colleague from Michigan State, he has been working a lot in water remediation systems, like the bioreactors and things like that. So he will be in June. This is Thursday. This is Thursday. So we only have March that is not Thursday, except that all is the third Thursday of the month. Dr. Damon will be talking about building effective irrigation return flow treatment system to remove agrochemicals from irrigation pond, from the retention pond. So he'll be talking about how to build one and how effective it is and how long the water needs to be there and things like that. And then July, August, we don't have anything planned because I know everyone's busy, and we might have our in-person workshop at that time. So we just left our summer slots open, and we don't have anything there. Again, because everyone's busy, summer is peak time of the year, so we just want to keep that in mind. And and then we will also be talking about conserving water in nursery and greenhouse production in September, ways to conserve water. We'll also be talking about irrigation water recycling rules and regulation in Utah. I'm having a hard time finding an expert in this topic. So if you have any suggestion, you just can shoot me in the chat. Or anyway, I'm trying to find out who has enough knowledge and expertise on that. We'll also be talking about using smart sensors for irrigation in December, likely. And now we do, if we produce the water using recycled water or remediated water, we we are doing something good for the environment. So how can we market those kind of product differently? I think I'm trying to invite Dr. Melinda North from North Carolina State University, because she's working on marketing of sustainable products for last few years, and she has that expertise. I haven't sent her an email, but probably if we get her, it would be very nice. So she will talk about how can we market differently. So how can we get more price for our product? So in-person workshop, again, as I said, after this survey, there will be a after this webinar, there will be a short survey on your availability and your county. So after I get that availability, I'll work on getting hotel booked, and we are trying to do one day workshop, and we will plan on covering your cost if you travel from a farther distance. If you need to stay there, we are trying to work out with hotel to see how that can be managed, and then we will also be providing food and all snacks during those workshops, so you all can concentrate more on workshops. Uh, so these are our plans, and I hope this will. And this is the first of its kind workshop in and training program in Utah. So, and you are some of the pioneers in this kind of program. So I'm very happy for that. uh, and then this is our outline. What are our expectations? Again, we don't have much expectation regarding your commitment of time, but however, we encourage participants to attend live webinar, because it's really tough to get these kind of expert to present the webinars. So please try to attend live webinars. This will allow participants to ask questions, interact with presenters, and build kind of long-term relationship. Participant will need to participate in one of three different workshops. Transportation, accommodation if necessary, and food will be provided. And once we get closer, I will come up with more information on these. We expect participants to complete short surveys, questionnaires when they are available. So we don't want to hammer you with surveys and questionnaires, but after each of our webinar, we do tend to see how it went and what are your feedback. So we might have questionnaires on some of our webinars, and also we do tend to see how our program went overall after 2 years. So at the end of our program, we'll have a webinar exit or work program exit survey, and this will help us to know how did our program go. Uh, and as I said, poll for time in the given survey after the webinar. So this is all that I had. Now I will stop sharing, and then if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the Q&A. How do you keep the pond water from growing algae or attracting bugs? So thank you, Jennifer, for that questions. And we do, as I said, this is just the introduction part of the webinar, and we do have our expert coming in and talking about those things. And even after completing the webinar, if you don't get answer to your questions, then we will reach out to specialists and ask them about this. But again, I think Sarah White or Damon Abdi or Paul Fisher would be the one who can give a very nice answer to this question. Thank you, Jennifer. So this is again the first introduction webinar. Our second webinar will be in February 16th from 1:30 to 2:30 p.m. So please mark that. However, I will send you a reminder before that with a short introduction of what Sarah will be presenting and her bio once we get closer to the date. So again,
Shatal, you did have a couple questions come up in the chat, and I know you already mentioned this, but maybe some people that joined a little later. There's one question about whether or not these will be recorded to be able to be viewed or watched after the webinar takes place.
So thank you, Kerry. So this webinar is being recorded. All our webinar will be recorded, and we will put the webinar somewhere in our website. And once we do that, we will send it. We will send the link to all of you. Also, we will try to build online fact sheets and resources for you, so that if someone who prefers to read versus to watch the webinar will have that as well. But it might take some time for us to do that. So it might be a few days after, a few weeks after our webinar. Did you see more disease or insect pressure in your research by reused water? Hi, Tony. No, we did not see any disease or insect pressure in our research by reused water. We did not see any. In fact, we did not see any disease or pest. So in our recycled water, and maybe we were. Maybe because I don't know. This might change because Michigan get a lot of water compared to Utah. Uh, so the thing might play differently at different states, um, but if you are having pathogens problem or disease problem in your nursery and you are planning to recycle water, there are ways to tell if the remediation pond has disease inoculation, and Dr. Fisher will talk more about it. There is some leaf test and other kind of test that you could easily do in your pond, and it's not expensive. Is the recycle home landscape water runoff part of the is the recycle home landscape water runoff? Karen, at this point, for the home use, the home landscape use, we will not be going into the direction. Of course, the principle do apply. It's the same thing. If you have a lot of water coming off, you could do it in your home as well. But given the area and the impact that can be made, we are targeting big water users. We are targeting to teach how to implement this in big water users such as nursery growers or big landscape like parks and other kind of things. But of course, it can be applied to your home if you want to do that. So, okay. I don't see any more questions. So again, if you have any questions, please feel free to put it in the chat. So when is the spring runoff? So when the spring runoff starts, is a good time to catch water. Yes, if you could do that, if you want to catch the spring runoff in your production site, or if the growers want to catch their runoff in when the runoff starts, that would be the good time, because that's the water that's not contaminated. Like, it's not a reused water; it's just the fresh water. So if you have that system built in your if any growers or a landscape project has a pond built into their system, then that would catch water in the spring when the spring runoff starts, or even during the start of the season. So that would also have the additional benefit. That would be additional benefit.
I did catch one, Chital, that you may not have seen in chat, that from Tony, that said, what kind of remediation would be needed to not increase diseases in nursery stock?
Oh, okay. So again, like I'm not a disease expert as of now, so that's why we're trying to bring in people from different background and expertise. But there are ways you could do it. I have seen people using chlorine in their water. Some even use UV radiation in their retention pond or in their water, if that's feasible. Mostly chlorine, or sometimes some kind of bleaching agent. Hydrogen peroxide, things like that. So that's from my knowledge. So again, Court, yeah. So is it legal to catch runoff water from natural precipitation? I know about the rainwater harvesting from a homeowner perspective. You could have a 200-gallon tank in your premises. For a nursery production site, is it legal to catch? That's an interesting thing, to catch the precipitation. I know we can catch the water that we are using in our sites, like in nursery system, because it has a lot of benefit. Like, it's a recycled water, so there might be nutrients and other things that might affect our ecosystem. So it's very good practice to catch it. On precipitation side, I must be honest, I am unsure. That's why for our one of the presentation, we are trying to bring someone who can talk about irrigation water recycling rules and regulation in Utah and its potential to conserve. 50, I think it's 100 gallons. So let me while I'm here, let me bring that up. Rainwater. A person may collect and store precipitation without registering in no more than 2 covered storage containers if neither covered container has maximum storage capacity of greater than 100 gallons. So this is, so for your information, Tony, I just got this here. I'll put it in the chat. Sorry. To everyone. So without registration, you can have 2 containers that are not greater than 100 gallons. But with the registration, you can collect more than 2,500 gallons. So that's a lot of water, and there is no charge for registration. Collect and use are limited to same parcel of land on which the water is captured and stored. So yeah. So this is what is on rainwater harvesting side. And Utah water rights, but moving forward, we will try to bring in someone from the Division of Water and let them talk about, ask them about what are the implications for a nursery production or from water recycling. I don't think there is any restriction on collecting the water that you apply. And if you have a pond in the premises, it is going to collect the precipitation as well. So the implication for that, again, I need to look more on that. I hope that answered your question a bit. It's my understanding that the residential customer can harvest rainwater and runoff, but is it against the law for a commercial and nursery industrial consumers to do so? Can you please clarify this? Again, Len, I am not an expert on legal matters, but my understanding is a nursery, if it is using, if it is trying to collect the recycled water, they can do that. So rainwater and precipitation, I am unsure, but I will try to find that out before maybe next webinar. I will just try to move deeper. Yeah, in Tony, in other parts of the state, in eastern state, there is no restriction on having a runoff retention collection pond in your nursery operations. And thank you, Cord. That was a really good question. Let me get back to all of you on that. So with this, we don't have any more questions today. So this is kind of first introductory webinar. So this it will be short, but from next time we will have complete 1 hour or more, a little more of webinar. So Katie, do you have anything to say?
I do not.
Okay. So I don't see any questions, and that's unanswered as of now. So I will end the presentation. Before that, let me save chat. Recording on. Thank you. So with this, I would like to thank everyone for your participation. I am really thankful that you are all interested in conserving water for Utah, and I work so I work on water conservation and landscape and ornamental plant sides of things. So do you have any district give discount on rain barrels. At some point, I think there was some discounts for rain barrel. I don't know what's happening now. Um, oh yes. So after this, after the after the program project ends, we will provide a certificate to every one of you who has participated in surveys and watched videos and participated in workshop. We'll provide you the certification saying you have a knowledge and expertise on water recycling. Will we cover the use of biofiltration system as well as fish in the retention pond to eliminate paste pressure instead of chemical? We will cover biofiltration system. I know that's for sure. For the fish in the retention pond, again, Dr. Damon Abdi will be, I will ask him, check their FY23 budget. Yes, we will cover biofiltration system, but for the phase, I don't know if it's feasible, if it's not, but we will have Damon Abdi to present on that, and we'll see what he has on his slides. Again, I will tell you everyone that this is just the introduction. I don't know what each expert will be presenting, but they will have the knowledge on the topic they will be presenting way more than what I have. So they will be better better equipped to answer your questions. Thank you everyone, and have a good day. And we will see you in February.
Great, Chital, don't forget to stop your recording.
Okay, I will stop my recording.